In tonight's installment of Why They Win, we'll be discussing the 2000 USA men's basketball team, perhaps the tallest, freakiest, most athletic squad the USA has ever fielded. But I know for sure that they were the precursor of what was to come down the line. Let's get it.
Money's gotta be the shoes. Shoes.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Skinny Hardaway, and this is Retro Heat Check. Checking in one more time for the real hoop heads out there. And as always, thank you all for your likes, your shares, your comments, and of course those questions. Keep those questions coming, guys. Man, definitely love it when you guys bring in those questions. You guys have been killing it. Man, it's like I ask humbly, and you guys just do your thing, man. I definitely am thankful for this community. The Hoophead Haven, big shout outs to you guys, man. You guys have really been killing it. The questions have been thought provoking. They have been definitely entertaining questions that I definitely enjoy answering. Nothing like it, although I do enjoy the comment section, definitely. But Wednesday nights, man, Q&A each and every Wednesday with me, Skinny Hardaway. It's one of the highlights of my week. So, hey, as long as you guys continue with the fire questions, hey, each and every Wednesday will definitely be a treat. So, tip of the cap to you guys. You already know. Big salute to you guys, man. Much appreciated. Much love and much appreciated. Thank you to all my hoop heads. You already know. Speaking of shout outs, man, definitely got to continue that. Got to give a shout out to the squad. You already know, man. These are my guys. These are the guys that support me. I support them. You already know what we're up against. We are up against a huge conglomerate of naysayers, narrative scripters, propagandists, haters, fanboys, everybody in between. But we stand tall. We stand 10 toes in the paint, armed with the facts. And as far as I'm concerned, when you're armed with the facts, you will always remain undefeated, and that's exactly where we stand. Definitely glad to be on this side of the basketball community and YouTube, the real side, the truth side. You already know what it is. Big shout outs to my main man, Sports and Fitness Rants, Uncommon Sense, Scap Attack, Angry Old Hoops, Uncut Hoops. Gotta give a big shout out to my twin, Phenomenal Fitness. What up, man? Michael Jordan fans are the best. NNB Sports TV. You got Ticket TV, my main man, Kobe Bryant Film Room. Big shout outs to you. Geechee Life Sports Talk. My bad. Get in tune with this man right there, man. Definitely fire content. Big shout outs to Print Sports, Man Down Sports. Excuse me. Gotta give a big shout out to Shekel Storm NBA. Check out his video. He has a video about yours truly, my humble beginnings before I signed on with the Penny Pinchers, the Israeli Penny Pinchers, the squad that the lore comes from. So definitely check out that video, man. Much humbled to be a part of the series. Definitely entertaining. Check him out, man. Check him out, guys. Big shout outs also go out to The Real Mind Crime. Big shout outs to you, my friend. Also, the Alan Ricks TV. Very entertaining young man. And also, NBA Fact Self Research. No frills, straight facts. I love his channel. Dig it a lot, man. You already know, man. Big shout outs also go out to Hoop God, man, one of the newer guys who I've stumbled across, man. Definitely big shout outs to you, man. Definitely kicking the knowledge. Definitely a Larry Bird stan. Knows all about Larry Bird, man. He's definitely one of those guys, man, who just when it comes to a certain player, they just lock in his Larry Bird. Very impressed by his basketball knowledge. But big shout outs to you, man. Big shout outs to you. Man, I think that's pretty much it. If I did miss anybody, if I missed anyone, hey, my bad. My apologies, and I will get you the next time. But I think I got everyone. But yeah, man, let's get down to it because we don't have any new hoop heads to add into the hoop head haven. So this will be a closed door meeting. You already know what it is. Let's get down to it, man. Let's get down to it. As you already know, man, we've been doing the series of Why They Win, talking about the various Olympic teams and why they would beat the 2024 Olympic squad, the squad that Nick Wright erroneously claims as the greatest team of all time. But this is the greatest team of all time, struggling with teams like South Sudan. All right, now. But anyways, man, we just here every episode of this series. We have this one, and we have two more that I plan on concluding tomorrow night, and with the final episode on Thursday night. But yeah, definitely, man, this series is definitely here to debunk that notion that Nick Wright uh, uh, is fabricating right now. Had a fanboy trying his best to argue, but it was to no avail. I mean, he just basically exposed himself as, almost like a child. Then he tried to say that he grew up in the '90s. I'm like, yeah, and you're gonna sit up here and say that the Dream Team is not better than the 2024 squad that actually has glaring flaws, versus the 1992 Dream Team that was pretty much one of what many people consider the greatest constructed team in sports history. People forget that those guys were all everyone was still within their prime. Were still in their prime. Larry Bird's body was betraying him, and Christian Laettner, nobody cared. But everybody else, smack dab in the middle of their primes. Some of the greatest players to ever see the floor, including a prime Michael Jordan. And it was just it was a sad display from this nameless, faceless fanboy. But had to give him a little straightening. Me and the homie Chucky, a little straightening. And then we got him up out of here. You already know how it is. But yeah, that's basically the premise of why the series is going on, because people really think that and people forget that there have been greater teams that we see today that represented the USA in the Olympics, and thankfully I was able to pretty much see them all from '92 on. Been able to check out the Olympics, even this year's Olympics, but definitely had to plead my case as to why the 2000 team, aka Team Y2K, uh, 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 why they pretty much uh, basically will take the win over the 2024 squad. And we'll break it on down. We'll give it a little bit of backstory. The 2000 squad, Team Y2K, basically, as some know, because back in the day it was the 2000, year 2000. Everybody thought that planes were supposed to fall out the sky, computers were supposed to glitch up, ATMs were supposed to freeze up or spit out money or whatever the heck was supposed to happen. It was supposed to have been chaos. So anything that was representing in the year 2000. Basically it was tagged Y2K, and basically this was one of the nicknames that kind of stuck with this year, with this in particular Olympic team. Actually, I graduated in the year 2000, so I am class of Y2K, as you may see. So yeah, I was a young 18-year-old Skinny Hardaway at the time, man, and checking out this 2000 team. This 2000 team was definitely a freak show. Lots of length, lots of height, lots of athleticism. Uh, had steady leadership. Had some steady leadership, and ironically, they all came from ironically, two of them came from the same city, and the other one represented the city as a pro at one point in his career, and I mean, it's pretty much timely shooting. It was just a nice mixture of hard nosed defense, freakish athleticism, steady leadership, and sharp shooting. It was I would have to say the 2000 team is a team that is very much slept on. A lot of people, really only when they think of the 2000 Olympic Games in the men's basketball team, pretty much the conversation goes to Vince Carter and the in the what they call the dunk of death, where he practically ended a career. Uh, he basically killed a career before it started, but we'll get into that. We will break it down basically a little bit later on as far as each individual. But this 2000 team going into Sydney was the hands down favorite. Gone were the remnants of the Dream Team. So there was no Charles Barkley, there was no Scottie Pippen, there was no um, David Robinson. Those guys were, those guys were all the way phased out. They were going into the twilights of their careers. So this was pretty much, for the most part, a whole new batch of guys. Uh, Basically, this team, outside of Gary Payton, uh, outside Gary Payton, was brand new. Everyone was brand new outside of Gary Payton, who was part of Dream Team 2. Uh, so yeah, he was really the only holdover from the previous Olympics. But this team was not short on skill, athleticism, a little bit intimidation, heart, desire, and I mean, when I say freakish athleticism, this team had it. This team, I would have to say, was the birth of gave birth to the stretch big man, because it seemed to be the emphasis of this squad when this team was constructed, and we will get down to it, starting off with the point guard positions. The point guards, I would have to say, this group right here, the point guards, these three are definitely great leaders. Very very outspoken, very demonstrative type of guards. The type of guards that like to get up and down, um, play both sides of the ball. Very very good on the defensive end. Spearheaded by Gary Payton, the aforementioned Gary Payton, the only holdover from the previous Olympics. Gary Payton still up to his old tricks. You already know what it is, man. Straight up, face to face, hard nose, uh, uh, in your face defense. You already know how it is, man. Gary Payton, the glove, harassing, you know, the greatest defensive point guard of all time. There's nothing that he can't do on the defensive end, and he can give you buckets, and he's a great distributor of the basketball. So He gives you all the levels that you're looking for within a point guard, and he has attitude. He has that attitude at the point guard position that not only would he keep his guys in order, but he'll definitely let the other team know exactly how he feels. Definitely a leader of this squad, a veteran of this squad, who's hard nosed enough to keep guys in line, but still cool enough that he can identify with a lot of the younger players. So Gary Payton, definitely a key member of the 2000 team. The next point guard is Jason Kidd, the tallest of the point guards, standing at 6'4", and that helps him, get out on the break. A lot of times he starts the break, grabbing his own boards and pushing it up the floor. This guy is one of the greatest floor generals in the NBA history. The future Hall of Famer was at the time doing his thing down in Phoenix with another former Dream Teamer, Penny Hardaway, part of the $1 million backcourt, quote unquote. Um, Jason Kidd was in Phoenix doing his thing, just leaving Dallas, uh, starting off with a new lease on life. Excuse me, had a little my eye. I don't know what's going on with my eyes. Sorry about that. But he was out there in Phoenix doing his thing, running up and down the floor, pushing it, pushing the break as usual. Basically, he was doing his thing. He, Penny Hardaway, and a young Steve Nash waiting in the wings. This Phoenix team definitely was an interesting squad, and Jason Kidd was leading the way, doing his thing. And so having Jason Kidd on this squad with his gifts and size, and court vision, court passing ability. That's what he's most famous for. And with all these freak athletes, all he really has to do is just make sure that everybody is happy. Jason Kidd, man, definitely had his place on this squad. And rounding out the point guards, the veteran, the savvy veteran, another savvy veteran, Tim Hardaway, fresh out of Oakland and going into Miami, leading the way with the Miami Heat with his teammate with his teammate Alonzo Mourning. Tim Hardaway rounds out the point guards. You already know about Tim Hardaway, the UTEP two-step, the trash talking, the low crossover dribble. I mean, just the 3-point shooting, the passing, just everything about Tim Hardaway just screams out Chicago basketball. I mean, this guy right here, man, is another one of those in-your-face point guards. Kind of like I would have to say that he was he and Gary Payton were birds of a feather. Very very demonstrative, trash talking, slick, very slick city ball type of player. Definitely the kind of point guard that can lead you to any championship round, any gold medal round, anything like that. Although Tim Hardaway unfortunately did not get that far, but he was championship caliber. He was definitely one of the greatest point guards of all time. Definitely a trendsetter with his UTEP two-step and the crossover dribble. He brought that savviness and that leadership and that veteran presence to this relatively young 2000 team. So it was very smart to have a veteran presence at the point guard position with such a majority younger team. And also going into the shooting guards. Speaking of youth, we will be speaking of youth. The headliner of the shooting guards definitely was a young up and coming star, a superstar on the court and on the screen. I'm talking about Ray Allen, and this ain't just Ray Allen 3-point shooting, Ray Allen. No. This is Jesus Shuttlesworth Ray Allen. This is Ray Allen that will cross you over, get down the lane, dunk on your big man, hit a three, hit it, do a wild, crazy layup going down the lane, spot up, hit a mid range jumper, to in a clutch moment. This is that Ray Allen. This is that Ray Allen. This is the Ray Allen that I would have to say, man, who was the perfect combination of outside shooting and crazy athleticism, standing at 6'5". I don't know, before old age got to him, Ray Allen could jump. Ray Allen had springs. Ray Allen would dunk on just about anybody you could think of. Ray Allen had no fear. His athleticism and his deadly shooting was a lethal combination. As far as the shooting guard position, he was the athlete shooter of the shooting guards. This group of shooting guards, hey, they put the shoot in shooting in shooting guards. Starting off with Ray Allen, I would say he was the athletic shooter of the 2000 team. So now we're going to go to the young gunner, and that would be Allen Houston, then of the New York Knicks. Allen Houston, man, one of the great shooters of the NBA, one of the great shooters of the late 90s and early 2000s. Allen Houston made a few All-Star teams. I would have to say his best years was in the 2000, leading up to the 2000 season, leading up to the 2000 finals run, in which they fell to the 99 the 99 NBA finals run, where they lost to the San Antonio Spurs. But I would have to say Allen Houston, one of the smoothest shooters that you could ever, see for a guy who's about 6'5", 6'6", could shoot the lights out. He was doing his thing as Grant Hill's wingman back in the day, the early years in Detroit, and then he ended up moving on to New York, signing that big boy contract. I remember at the time, Allen Houston was one of the highest paid players in the league. I mean, his silky smooth jump shot definitely got him paid. Man, definitely one of the most clutch shooters. I go back to Game 7 versus my Miami Heat when he hit that game-winning floater going down the lane. Man, he definitely broke a lot of Miami Heat fans' hearts over the years. That's Allen Houston, man. And rounding off, we have the veteran shooter, and that's Steve Smith, who at the time was a member of the Atlanta Hawks. Steve Smith, man, definitely was doing his thing. Always known as a man, just a thinking man shooting guard. I mean, he was definitely one of the more definitely one of the more cerebral shooting guards. He even though he lacked the athleticism that he used to have in college. I mean, Steve Smith at one point he wasn't a bad athlete back in college, but despite his lack of athleticism in comparison to, say, a Ray Allen, his guile and his ability to read defenses and know exactly where to be at on the floor was uncanny. And also, he was a great leader, a solid veteran that young guys could get behind and follow. He definitely would lead by example, show the young guys the way as far as getting down on the floor, diving for loose balls, getting in there, mixing it up for rebounds. Standing at 6'8", he would he'd get down in there. He wasn't just a pretty boy with a jump shot. He'd get down there and get dirty, and he was definitely the veteran presence that another veteran presence that this squad would definitely need. Steve Smith definitely what had a place on the 2000 team, definitely. And we get to the only small forward on the squad, and he was the highlight of the team, Mr. Vince Carter, aka Vince Sanity, and Vince Sanity reached its fever pitch in the 2000 Olympics. Uh, Grant Hill, I mean Grant Hill. Grant Hill manned the small forward position as far along with Scottie Pippen, members of Dream Team too. And a lot of people thought that their athleticism was just on another level, but nah. Vince Carter, uh, his inclusion into the team, and as a matter of fact, he was one of the last to make the team. But man, it's definitely a good a good omen that to have him on the squad, because he let the world know that what Grant Hill and Scottie Pippen had, he had it times 1,000. And everybody knows about the play versus France, the what they call the dunk of death, where he killed Frederick Weiss's career. Frederick Weiss, first round draft pick of the New York Knicks, uh, was getting ready for going to do the Olympics, then get ready to go to New York for training camp. But that was not so. After Vince Carter literally leaped over the 7-foot Frederick Weiss and threw down one of the most vicious dunks that you'll ever see uh, in life. Um, definitely, definitely, it had an impact on Mr. Weiss's career and personal life. Yeah, he never made it to the NBA, and a lot of people credit that to that dunk. But actually, it was a little bit deeper than that. If you ever get a minute, check out Frederick Weiss's story. It's a story of tragedy, triumph, all that good stuff, man. Actually, it's a good story. But yeah, at that time though, he was a victim of the dunk of death. And man, that narrative of Vince Carter killing your career was a very tough one for him. But yeah, Vince Carter definitely was the highlight of the Olympics, showing off his athletic ability, showing off his freakish, just blocking shots, dunks. It was just everything. Everything was just a show. Vince Carter definitely put on a show. The world definitely knew his name by the time the Olympics was over with. And now at the power forward position, this right here, these guys are the highlight of this team. The power forward position is so diverse, so freakish. I mean, it was, I mean, and all four of these guys were in their primes, and they were rather young. And I'm talking about Kevin Garnett, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Vin Baker, and Antonio McDyess. Man, this group right here definitely put the stretch and stretch big man. These guys were, you guys can, some would consider these guys stretch threes, like a Sharif Abdul-Rahim. Some would be considered your classic power forward, like a Vin Baker. But Antonio McDyess, Kevin Garnett were just freaks. They were just athletic freaks for their height and size. For their games were just amazing. How they moved. And for Antonio McDyess, we'll start there. Antonio McDyess at that time was still doing his thing for the Denver Nuggets. I mean, this guy before the injuries, oh my goodness, athleticism. He reminded a lot of people of Shawn Kemp. He had that Shawn Kemp type of game, type of athleticism, that spooky, freakish athleticism where he would just get up. I mean, when he would jump, it seemed like he had rocket boosters. He was already, what, 6'9", 6'10", but with his athletic ability and jumping ability, you would have thought that he was 7 feet tall plus, the way that he would hang in the air. He was just a freak athlete. Antonio McDyess, his dunks were just, oh man. And you having guys like Tim Hardaway, Jason Kidd, and Gary Payton throwing you alley oops all day. That's pretty much what it was. It was just a oop fest with Antonio McDyess every time he got into the game. His game around the basket, he's not just more than just dunks. He definitely is a technician around the paint. Uh, but yeah, Antonio McDyess very heady, very smart. It actually helped him later on in his career when the injuries started to mount up. He was still smart enough to move around down low. Still was able to get his shots off, and still was a key contributor all the way until his retirement. Antonio McDyess definitely was in the year 2000 was definitely one of those ones. Now we're gonna go to Vin Baker, the technician of the power forward position for Team USA. Now this guy right here for the Seattle SuperSonics, Vin Baker. I mean, he had there. I would say that he was Tim Duncan before Tim Duncan. Face ups, face up moves. He hit that 12 to 15 foot jumper. Um, Man, he is back to the basket. There was not a move that he couldn't do. Up and unders, spin move, spin left, spin right, hooks, up and unders, dunks. It did not matter on the defensive end. Block your shot. I mean, a smooth, hey, Coda, a smooth shot blocker. Vin Baker definitely was a for many years the NBA's best kept secret when he played for Milwaukee. But once he teamed up with Gary Payton out in Seattle, Vin Baker was definitely able to make more of a name of himself. And his position at power forward on Team USA was definitely well deserved. Vin Baker definitely was the technician that you needed down low, and definitely they had nothing for him. He just definitely he had moves on top of moves on top of moves on top of moves on top of moves. He was he was in his bag, absolutely in his bag. The whole series, the whole summer. Vin Baker, big shouts. And Sharif Abdul Rahim, this guy right here, stretch three, stretch four, could play center as well. 6'11", could dribble, shoot, pass, block your shot, athlete. I mean, this guy could do it all. Sharif Abdul Rahim was was a highly sought after. He's been highly sought after since he was in junior high. I mean, this kid. Well, this guy at the time, man, was definitely one of those guys, one of the younger guys on the squad. He and KG were the youngest on the team. But Sharif Abdurrahim before the injuries for Vancouver was definitely a monster. Inside, outside, jump shooting, dominating inside on the glass, blocking shots, dunks, hooks, spin. Got you can spin left, spin right, fadeaways, up and unders, threes. There was nothing that Sharif Abdul Rahim could not do on the floor. The man had all the gifts, all wrapped up in a 6'11" frame. Man, like I said before the injuries, and this guy was on his way to becoming one of the greatest that the NBA has ever seen. I definitely will have to say that back in those days in the 90s, man, 90s going into the early 2000s, microfracture injuries sucked, and it robbed a lot of great players of years of in their careers. Thankfully, modern technology has evolved, and recovery times and procedures are a lot less invasive, and you can have a quicker recovery time and all that good stuff. But definitely, I definitely have believed that Sharif Abdurrahim was robbed of a Hall of Fame career, definitely. And Kevin Garnett, KG, you already know, man. If Vince Carter was the star, I would have to say Kevin Garnett was the co-star. I mean, this guy. What about Kevin Garnett? that you could not say. At the time, Kevin Garnett was known as the kid, the big ticket. I mean, full of energy, full of life, screams every time he blocks a shot, dunks on somebody, alley oops galore, runs the floor, fills the lanes. I mean, there's nothing that Kevin Garnett couldn't do. He was just getting his game together. He was starting to develop that his mid range. He was starting to his baby hook and his floaters and all that was starting to become was starting to become part of his arsenal. He was becoming a better leader, leading Minnesota deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the playoffs. I mean, this guy who was quickly evolving into one of the greatest ever to ever do it. And man, he was right on time with this squad. And then rounded out Alonzo Mourning. Definitely the man in the middle, the only technical center, um, despite being 6'10". He was the only center on Team USA, and you already know about Alonzo Mourning. Georgetown representing, definitely in the building. Blocking shots, hard-nosed, tough defense, intimidation factor. You're not going to punk him. You're never going to punk him. I mean, he challenged anything coming down in the lane, and you already know his offensive game, straight bully ball. But his touch around the hoop, his touch around the rim, was uncanny. I have to say his touch around the rim was almost like Karl Malone. Karl Malone and Alonzo Mourning kind of had a similar touch around the rim. And Alonzo's game definitely in his status as a veteran definitely was needed on like I said, such a younger squad. And I have to say that his inclusion on the squad was much deserved. Many thought that he should have been on Dream Team 2, but with Shaq, Olajuwon, and David Robinson, I mean, it's kind of hard for a player such as Alonzo Mourning to leapfrog any of those guys. So Alonzo finally got his moment, and he did not disappoint. He definitely was the anchor of the defense down low in the interior. His presence was definitely an intimidation factor. Uh, Alley oops, dunks, all that stuff down there. A lot of in the paint scoring. With and Alonzo Mourning contribute to that. Yeah, definitely. This team was definitely constructed to dominate, and particularly in the interior, and that's exactly what they did. And that is why, I almost forgot. The head coach, I'm sorry, Rudy Tomjanovich, the two-time NBA champion with the Houston Rockets. You already know about Rudy Tomjanovich, man. Don't his famous quote, "Don't underestimate the heart of a champion." That's basically part of what makes him stand out and what makes him fit for this squad. Like I've said, the coach and the team seems to make a cohesive unit. And with this squad being such a younger team, you needed a coach like Rudy Tomjanovich to to lead, because he is a motivator. He is a teacher. He definitely preaches accountability, and he doesn't hold hands. Despite the fact that it was a young team, he knew that this team would be mature enough to follow his teachings, to follow his coaching, and that's exactly what they did. He was just basically just the master motivator that kept the fires burning. Kept these guys motivated, because it was easy for them. It could have been easy for them to sleepwalk through these games, but Rudy Tomjanovich definitely played a role in keeping the players focused, and keeping them with their eyes on the prize. And why they win. Well, basically, why they win: size, 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 size. Um, don't get it twisted. Vince Carter would definitely do his thing, and you know, but I would have to say it starts off with Garnett, Abdul Rahim, Baker, and McDyess. Those four right there are the catalyst, and I just think it's just way too much firepower, way too much. I think that over time that they would just overwhelm Embiid. Um, AD, and Bam. I think that they would just overwhelm them. It'd be a lot of fouls. Um, I just think that the way that they move and they all represent different aspects of the low post game. Um, I think that these guys would definitely have the advantage. And there's one more of them. There's actually one more of them, so that you would have to bring in like LeBron or KD, and I don't think that even they could do anything really with Garnett, Abdul Rahim, Baker, or McDyess. Um, I just think that they just have that distinct advantage over the 2024 team, and it starts with the power forward position. Um, that right there gives me the edge already, and then I couple that with Alonzo Mourning, his defensive presence. All he has to do is just clean up. All he has to do is just block shots, clean the glass, you know, catch a oop, you know, put backs, you know, any assist that's going his way, just finish, and that's it. So I would have to definitely say that the big men are definitely the the have the basically the distinct advantage. And at the point guard position, I would have to say you run Jason Kidd out there with say a Ray Allen. You know, that's already 6'4", going 6'4" to 6'5". Then Vince Carter, he's 6'7". And then or you can take Carter out. You can put Garnett, Abdul Rahim, and Baker, or Garnett, Abdul Rahim, and Mourning, Garnett, Baker, McDyess, Garnett, Mourning. You know, it's like or Abdul Rahim, Baker, Mourning. It like the combinations are endless with those five. I mean, you could do so much. You could do so much as far as your versatility, and I think that would be the distinct advantages. The simple fact that they have the big men. The big men are versatile. The rest of the team is versatile. Um, Savvy veterans. Timely shooting with Houston, Steve Smith, and Ray Allen. I mean, it's like while you're so focused on the inside, they just kick it out, and Smith, Houston, and Allen will knock it down. Peyton, Kidd, and Hardaway will knock them down. And then you have Vince Carter just showing off his athletic gifts, and I don't think that there's too many guys on Team USA 2024. I don't see Devin Booker guarding Vince Carter. I think Devin Booker would facing a prime Vince Carter, that would be his nightmare. If he can't even stay in front of Luka, I don't think he's going to stay in front of Vince. As a matter of fact, Vince would probably jump over him. Vince was on that type of timing back then. I mean, Vince was an amazing athlete, probably the greatest athlete I've ever seen that played basketball. Um, there was nothing that he could not do. He just it looked so gracefully and powerful and all that stuff. I mean, I just don't see it. I just don't see too many guys on that squad really checking Vince Carter. Um, that's just pretty much what I believe. I just definitely believe that this team's versatility and height advantage, especially in particular at the power forward position, the way that they could just use those four guys as catalysts to set off, all kinds of mismatches. Um, yeah, I just think that this team right here is just one big Rubik's cube, and you can just, you're just trying to figure them out, and yeah. you just can't, because they have a counter for everything. But it starts with those four at the power forward position. I would definitely have to give them the edge over 2024. I just don't think that they have enough firepower for that. That's just what it is. I definitely think that there's a coaching edge with Tom Janovich over Steve Kerr. I still think Steve Kerr is terrible with roster management. I think that he just does not really. I think that he's not getting a grasp on minutes. You know, I understand he has like a vision for what he wants his team to be, but I think that in a lot of ways he's making a lot of missteps versus Rudy Tomjanovich, who was just clicking on all cylinders and had that running, had the 2000 squad running, like, you know, like a well-oiled machine. So big shout outs to the 2000 team, a slept on squad. You know, Team Y2K definitely. Definitely has their place, um, in Olympic lore. Yes, they have the dunk of death, but it's more than just the dunk of death. But yeah, definitely big shout out to these guys. They brought home the gold down there in Sydney. There was really no stress. Like I said, these guys let it be known that the freaks came down to play that year, and they nobody had anything for them. And with Vince Carter doing his thing, and you know the guards doing their thing, I mean it was just a well-oiled machine. It was like business as usual. So they did all that, got a gold, went home. But we will conclude right there. Like to thank you all for tapping in with your boy. I know it's Monday. I know we're starting off. You know, it's Monday. Had the case of the Mondays. I was dragging this morning. Had an awesome weekend with family and friends. Had a great time. And you know how that is. You don't want the weekend to end and then reality strikes. But we're back at it. It's going to be another strong week. Tomorrow, once again, we're going to do another episode of Why They Win. We will be discussing the Redeem team. That we will definitely be on that squad. And Thursday got a surprise episode for the Why They Win. Got a surprise. And I think that you guys will like it. I hope that you guys will. But in the meantime, man, enjoy your evenings, man. You already know, man. Love on them babies. Love on your loved ones. Tomorrow is definitely not promised. Be a blessing, not a burden. Be a helping hand if you can. You know, be responsible, be respectful. Stay out of trouble. Don't do anything dumb. Don't do anything that will hurt you or hurt others. Man, a clear head, good intentions in your heart, and you're out of here. You already know how that is. Man, hey, man, it's. I guess we can conclude on that, man. It's your boy, Skinny Hardaway, and this is another episode of Retro Heat Check in the books. And I guess I'll leave you with these words. Peace. Peace. And wear your sneakers.